Greetings, what is up, and a very warm welcome to the channel. The sun is hiding and the magpie is casting. Coming to you guys right now with a live 1 versus 1 battle featuring spawning in the north, playing as the Overcommand West pieces on crossing in the woods. It's going to be VonAsten. And spawning in the south, playing as the United States forces. It's going to be Vova. A ton of people spectating this game, so I don't know why that would be. It's just very rare that I see this many people spectating a game. What are we on now? It is Friday, right? Yeah, okay. Top marks for paying attention, Magpie. Yeah, it's Friday the 1st, so is this part of the... Is there a tournament running right now? I have no idea. Looks like Vova's going to be going ahead and doing some WC51 abuse. This is like 2 WC51s. I am color me excited. This already has the hallmarks of a game that's going to entertain me. And looks like VonAsten, well, he's yet to choose a commander, but he has gone for a Kuba-Wagon, and that is going to be useful against these WC51s. So, although he is not yet cognizant of the peril awaiting him, okay, he's going to find out now. Here we go. Alright, and the Kuba-Wagon, even in the right area of the map, actually, it can just come down south and start nudging this WC51 with its MG. There we go. Oh, just need to... There we go. Line that one up, face south. There we go. Nice. And straight away, we've got action. There we go. That's what happens when you pick these light, fast units. So this WC51 actually just content to sit here and soak up some damage. Look how fast this... I wonder how fast this... Yeah, this feeds veterancy relatively quickly onto the Kuba-Wagon. Alright, so now the Wagon ought to pursue. I'm surprised he wasn't a bit more aggressive with this Kuba, actually. Because if he was, like, chasing, if he was up on top of this WC51, he could have killed it by now, right? And if there's riflemen, you can always react and fall back. Like, so... I feel like if you just chase up on top of this 51, like, don't let it just sit here. Just, like, move right up to it and then, like, chase it into the fog of war. I don't know. Okay, so he's gonna... The infantry comes in. That's gonna push the Kuba-Wagon away. Meanwhile, though, Volk's Grenadiers are gonna find this WC51. So that's a pain for the American player. VonAsten here in a spot of bother. Okay, there we go. So the WC51 actually is durable enough to escape there. So it looks like both players going to get out of this little early game scuffle with all of their units intact. And VonAsten going to be making some early adaptations here, throwing in a Kettenwerfer as his 4th unit choice here is going to stand him in good stead here. 50 cal's starting to finish up on these WC51s, overrunning on some Volks Grenadiers here. But they're going to be able to get out of there just fine as well. Schwever Max Schlepper now on the queue, but actually being held up by the Kettenwerfer. There we go. So there we go. Alright. What an interesting opener. It looks like it's going to be Lieutenant Tech here for the American player. There we go. Lieutenant Tech on the field. Wow, this game is just like... There was no dead time, it seems. This game just got underway straight away. And that's what we like. So we've got a Kuba-Wagon kiting over here. Like, keep your eye on the mini-map, because there's a lot of other units moving out and are going to be encountering each other on the mini-map. Sorry, on the map here. Looks like Volk's going to probably beat these riflemen. And in mid, we've got the Kettenwerfer, which is just stalking around trying to find targets. And it probably will find some. Okay, alright, I'm already into this game. This is a sweet opener here. 50 cal on the roster now for Vova. So, yep, that's obviously going to be a potent tool against the Kuba-Wagon and all of the infantry, of course. So you can see why he went for that one. That does make some sense. Kuba-Wagon here actually not repaired. So still relatively low. And if we crack the attack, we can see American forces definitely taking more than the half line on the map. 2 victory points. They're going to get both of the fuel points here momentarily. Whoa! Kettenwerfer finds a WC51 though. So that's a bit of a setback for Vova. Not the most expensive thing, of course. How much is a WC51? Just 200 manpower. Okay, so that is the same as a Kuba-Wagon, isn't it? Kuba-Wagons are 210. How does that work? I suppose Kuba-Wagons come with a gun, but I feel like WC51s are like so much better because they come with a vehicle crew. I would rather have a vehicle crew and the option to upgrade a gun rather than just like have a kind of a gun which is not that great. Let's be real. I don't know. How is the Kuba-Wagon more expensive than the WC51? I suppose the WC51 is locked behind a commander, but that shouldn't really impact its price. I don't know. There's probably a lot I don't know about both of these units. I haven't really cast them enough. Wow, actually Captain Tech getting mixed in here for Vova. You know, I kind of like this actually. So he's taking the early manpower that he would have been putting into riflemen if he was doing a more meta build, and he's cranking out these officers, and now he has access to a lot of tech here. How much is the 50 cal? Alright, so it's 45 munitions. That is definitely not cheap. Looks like we're going to see another 50 cal HMG squad here for Vova. VonAsten has gone for a mechanized Reg HQ, so that's what we're going to see here. I imagine it's going to be... Oh, like, you know what, I was going to say, I imagine it's going to be a Panzer II, because that can boss around the WC-51s like pretty nicely, but a Puma also does really well there, so I don't know, it depends to what extent he feels like he needs the anti-infantry utility of the Panzer II, and right now, because he's been priced into a relatively early Kettenwerfer, I feel like he might well need that anti-infantry utility here, so we're going to see. American infantry is just so strong and punchy, you know, any extra anti-infantry utility you can get is always going to feel good, let's put it that way. So now we've got an MG34 coming onto the roster. One's going to be moving out here. VonAsten significantly under the gun now. Double fuel control, triple cap as well, going towards Vova. So this is a tough game now. This is a tough game for sure. For VonAsten. Scoreline differential, 150 odd tickets at like the sub 10 minute mark, sub 7 minute mark. That's pretty nasty. Panzer II is going to be the choice. I think this makes a lot of sense. If your opponent continues to commit to light vehicles, then you can respond with a Puma later. But I think right now you just need something that can help you push back the tide of Americans that are all over the map. So yeah, I think that's got to be the choice here. 50 cal going to find some Volks under the arc. Rifleman going to move in for the move in to flush them out of there. So. Wow, this is so much fuel for the American player to be getting. VonAsten is just... This is a really, really hard place to be. 36 over 16, so more than 2-to-1 resource differential right now. Vova raking it in. He could go for weapon racks or something like that even if he wanted to. Let me just... Alright, not yet. Wow. Alright, so you're VonAsten. What do you do right now? Let's check out these commanders. He's got Grand Offensive, he's got Overwatch, and he's got Special Operations. Actually, none of them are super helpful right now. So there's going to be no help coming from his commander roster. American forces just pretty much able to cherry-pick whatever fights they want. Right, now here comes the Panzer II. Once the WC-51 is going to take a tank buster grenade though, donk. So the WC-51, yeah, is going to be able to step on it backwards and get out of there. Now the Panzer II is a little bit stricken, and Captain Tech is done, so Vova can just go for a M1 anti-tank gun if he really, really feels like he needs it. But he's had so much fuel this game. I mean, we could just see weapon racks, and then get some Zooks on these units, and then I feel like you can just push the Panzer II around with your infantry. I don't know, we'll see. That's definitely the riskier line. I mean, he could do both. He could get an M1 and go weapon racks. We're going to see. The world is Vova's oysters right now. He's so far ahead. Finally, VonAsten is able to like sink his teeth into one of these victory points, so that does help stem the bleeding considerably. But he's so far behind, and he is still bleeding, and he's still... Okay, he's actually even going to connect a fuel point here, like... Vital lifeblood will now start flowing into the Axis resource bank. Is it enough? Yeah, I mean, this game is not over, but this has been a very nasty 10-minute opening here for VonAsten. This has not been the game that you would hope to see for the Axis player. I feel like he was a little bit unlucky, because I feel like his opening was actually kind of fine. Like... The Kugelwagen was nice. It was able to brush aside the WC-51. I really feel like he could have gotten a kill in the opening minute. That first skirmish, I really think he could have picked off one of the WC-51s with that Kugelwagen, unless I'm wrong, right? Because none of the riflemen have veterancy at that point, so you're in no danger of being donked by an, a tank buster grenade. I don't know. Hard to say. Kettenwerfer are going to find this WC-51, but Vova's on top of it with the micro. Is going to scurry that one back nicely. Panzer II is in the hood, ready to support against these rear ash. A lot of American... These units here have been idle for some time. Looks like Vova, for now, content just to maintain Overwatch on this point and things. But he really should be pushing right now. He has had the advantage in a big way this game. And normally you don't want to ease off the gas when you're that far ahead. You want to keep your opponent under pressure. You want to keep them under the gun. Force them to try and do things. Force them to try and take bad fights to get out of nasty circumstances.
There's a major reporting for action.
Oh, excuse me. Oh man, I hope I'm not getting ill. 'Tis the time of year though. In England, this is the time of year when viruses are just absolutely on the rampage. The cooling weather and the extra moisture in the air lends a massive degree of stability to virion particles that are airborne, making them way more transmissible. So this is kind of perfect time of year to be getting these kinds of things, and it's like after a nice long hot summer, everyone's immune systems are just a little bit out of practice, on sort of low alert really, so this is the time when everyone gets really ill. Woo! Pros of living in this country. But this is all irrelevant, of course, to the game at hand here. Oh, that's a nice grenade. Catches these riflemen. There we go. Vova going to pull them back now. Major tech has finished here, so the American player is going to have access to literally any unit they want now. I mean, well, any American unit they want now, pretty much. So another grenade going to come down here. That's a stun grenade from the Storm Pioneers, but it's not really going to be enough to reverse the fortunes on this flank. So yeah, if you're the American player right now, I think you are actually far enough ahead where a Sherman is actually super scary. M1 anti-tank gun, going to be locking up some Volksgrenadiers. That is not super effective. This looks like a major barrage coming down in a position here. Axis forces pretty much in full retreat. Let's crack the tack. Axis forces just being shoved around. Even though a large amount of American units are like at base and just moving out again, the American player is being so active in the west of map here. This is so harsh. M1 anti-tank gun though, not in a position where it can assist with this Panzer II. There's only a captain squad, sorry, a lieutenant squad with a Zook. So it is possible actually that this Panzer II could be the saving grace here. Actually could even line up a squad wipe on this vehicle crew. Actually just opting not to go for it. Where's he off to? I feel like you could have gone for a vehicle wipe on those vehicle crew. Oh, vehicle wipe? A squad wipe, sorry. Okay, so alright, a moment of quiet here, so we're going to crack the tack. Somehow, this MG34 holding in the east of the map, Kubelwagen pushing out on the west. So VonAsten doing what he needs to stay in this game. Major going to go for an ambitious run to get the cutoff here, but that's not going to pay off. He does scout the tech though, so he knows that Schwerpanzer HQ is coming up, and he knows the timing on that tech. So now he needs to buy Panzerorth, and that's going to flatline him on fuel. I mean, he doesn't have to buy it right now, but he'll have to buy it before he takes a fuel choice from the Schwerpanzer HQ, so that puts him down to like 12 fuel. So imagine that there's like -60 being applied to this fuel total here for the Axis player. That puts him quite a long way away from any significant armoured choices here. So definitely the window's still open for Vova to squeeze out a Sherman here and probably still be able to like get a Jackson out or something a little bit, you know, in a timely fashion to counter the Axis armour choice. And I think I like that. The Shermans are really nasty against infantry, and they are useful against tanks later on when you load those AT rounds. But it looks like Vova actually opting not to go for Sherman here, so I wonder if he's saving. Hang on. How much is the because you get the no, not that one. Okay, M4A3 Sherman is 110 fuel. So, and the M4A3 76 Sherman, that's the one. Sorry, I get so confused sometimes between these different Shermans. All right. So yeah, it could be saving for the oh yeah, so there we go. It is going to be a bigger Sherman. That's the A3. Oh no, sorry, that's the default Sherman. My bad. Okay. So it is going to be a Sherman. Whoa, VonAsten making a sweet move here. Panzer II, M1 anti-tank gun, and Volksgrenadier is going to try to come through here, but there's actually just not enough infantry. Arg, he's going to lose this AT gun that he managed to grab. I thought he was going to try and get the cut-off, but it's not coming through here. And VonAsten doing pretty well, actually. I mean, this mid-game is not looking as dire as I thought. I appreciate there's a Sherman about to hit the front, which represents a bit of a power swing here. Why is this Panzer II not firing? Is it on hold fire? No.
Tank support is here. Sherman ready.
I'm so confused. Okay, now it's going to start firing. Alright, the Panzer II just was relentlessly not shooting at that Major there for, like, quite a while. Sherman's going to come out here, and it does catch the Panzer II on the back foot. Oh, and he's going to get it. The Major barrage as well, coming down in a nice position. Kettenwerfer on the retreat as well, so the Sherman here, that's 2 Kettenwerfers he catches out. Oh no, that's like all the AT resources of VonAsten. Oh, that's pretty massive here. Schwerpanzer HQ going to hold the line for now, forcing this Sherman back. But this is a brutal swing of events here for VonAsten, who's going to go ahead and pick Grand Offensive Doctrine, so deciding that now's the moment when a commander pick is going to be worthwhile. I hope that this doesn't mean that he's on a Tiger plan. I think he'll die before Tiger, so I'm hoping that this is not representing that he's going to try and go for hold on till Tiger. Because he's so far behind in VP, his fuel income has been so sort of lackluster. I'm not confident that holding on for Tiger is the right call here. American forces pressuring mid as well. I think this has to be a Jagdpanzer game. You're so far behind, you can just about afford a Jagdpanzer, and if you protect that Jagdpanzer, and this is a really good map for Jagdpanzers because they can chill in this area here. It's a good map for Su-85s and things for the same reason. It can chill in this area here and just take shots at American armor, and the Jagdpanzer dominates pretty much all American armored choices that are possible. Like, if it is firing at those targets, it will be very nasty for those American targets. So, yeah, I think this should be a Jagdpanzer game. How much is a Jagd? It's like 130 fuel or something. 135, yeah. So he could get a Jagd in like just over a minute's worth of saving, and it would substantially stabilize him, according to me. Now, he does have 3 Kettenwerfers, so I understand why he may be reluctant to go for a Jagd, but I just don't really think that Kettenwerfers hold up very well against Shermans. The high explosive shells just, it only takes 1 hit and you have to fall the Kettenwerfer back. Sometimes the Americans get a lucky hit and it's even worse than that. So, I don't know. Gribbly fights being taken here all across the map as Volksgrenadiers and Storm Pioneers going to be trying to do what they can against this American infantry. BAR's now popping up over these riflemen, so weapon racks are done. The Sherman is here, Dozer Blade finishing on that. So that has increased HP, reduced maneuverability. But that seems just fine. Actually, you know what? Somehow VonAsten actually achieving some wipes here. I think he just took out that vehicle crew who's been running around. Don't know. We're goddamn pinned over here! This WC-51, up to 3 stars of vet. Nice. Man, these riflemen being such a nuisance in this building. They're just holding off here. Now American forces are going to start accessing middle VP. Actually, there is an MG-34 on Overwatch, but the major barrage is going to force that back. Oh, getting a quad fallback. Oh, that's so rough. Nice usage of the ability here. Physics being demonstrated here as this barrel going to be shot around. Somewhat reminiscent of Duck Hunt. Alright, now the Sherman going to rumble forth in the west. VonAsten just still under the gun. He's going to be under a triple cap again here. 246 under 422. He's up to 140 fuel, has 400 manpower, 500 manpower, sorry. So it's going to be a Panzer IV. Okay, I like this. I think wait for... Basically, I like this because it means he's not just on the wait for Tiger plan, because I think that would have been a death sentence, and he recognizes that. So he's going to go for a Panzer IV now. Now let's... I think, because you have 3 Rakettenwerfers, Panzer IV is actually the right choice over the Jagd. I think that's the case, because now you have a potent, flexible medium tank capable of profitably engaging against Shermans that can also meaningfully chip in against the American infantry. And I think that that's the unit you need here, something with effectiveness against not just armor but infantry, especially when you have 3 Kettenwerfers to back it up. So yeah, I like this Panzer IV. The problem now, of course, is that you are inviting the American player to complete their roster with a Jackson, and we all know Jacksons do rather shut down Panzer IVs, especially when the Jacksons are well supported by infantry and they have other armoured units to hide behind. And that's going to be the case here. So there's going to be a short window, I think, where this Panzer IV is going to look okay. It's going to be Obersoldaten following that up. And then we're going to see a Jackson, I imagine, complete the American roster, and that's going to be hard times. Could even be the M4A376 Sherman to add on to the roster for the American player, but I think I prefer Jackson. What you really need is just a hard AT. You need a tank hunter for the American player, in my opinion. So anyway, triple Kettenwerfer here. I don't like not having overlapping fields of fire. By concentrating these units, the amount of area you're covering is a lot less, but I suppose he does know where the Sherman is, so keeping it under arc there, very relevant. Panzer IV here getting nice hits onto the Sherman, and it doesn't look like he's overextended. Riflemen here desperately trying to get the anti-tank rifle grenade, and they will. Here it comes. Donk. Yeah, so my worry about clustering up all of your Rakettenwerfers is that it only takes 1 ability to come in, or like 1 unit to get up on top of them, and then you have to fall back all of your Rakettenwerfers, and then suddenly you go from having 3 Rakettenwerfers firing, or like looking for shots, which is quite good anti-tank, to having none very quickly, and that's like, that's precarious. So it is going to be a Jackson for the American player. This makes so much sense. Oversoldaten plying their deadly trade on the front here. No resources just yet to purchase them one of their upgrades, but I imagine we'll be seeing those as soon as VonAsten has any sort of money for them. MG34 going to be trying to heroically take mid and kind of winning that fight. There we go. Now gets suppressed by the 50 cal, so that's problem. Stormpine is going to be repairing the Panzer IV here, and this is just like absolute firefighting mode for VonAsten. He's still totally under the gun. The American player applying massive amounts of pressure, despite the best efforts of VonAsten, who has achieved some squad wipes. This has been a heroic defense, but he's down at 150 under 422 now, and the situation continues to look dire. Now, there is a moment. Let's crack the tack. You can see most American units are actually back off the line right now, and a lot of Axis units are being active. This Kugelwagen actually being a hero, capping stuff out on the field. And he manages to get up on top of 2 victory points. Stormpine is even going to hold this one here from these rear Esh in the east of the map. So actually VonAsten off the clock. So if somehow he can survive this next phase of play where he has to face down a Sherman and a Jackson with just a Panzer IV and 3 Raketenwerfers, which is like doable. It is doable. Then he might be able to angle for a late game where he's able to call in a Panther or a Tiger, and then I don't know. That's a long way off at the moment. He's still not got the best end of fuel income on the map, but only just. So, I don't know. We're going to see. We're going to see. We're going to see. Here's a Panzer IV getting hit by this Jackson, though. Kettenwerfer's in a nice position. Going to find the Jackson. This Jackson has to... Whoa, he's coming forwards with it. Risky. What is this Jackson doing? Oh, my goodness. Is he going to lose the Jackson? This Kettenwerfer gets one more shot. Oh, my God. Wow. Okay, Vova makes a mistake. That is the first big mistake of the game. Could not really be throwing away a Jackson for free there, because he can't actually replace it. So, okay, Vova here opening up a vulnerability. Now it's a Panzer IV with a Star of Veterancy against a Sherman with a Star of Veterancy, and that does just about favour the Panzer IV. With 3 Kettenwerfers and reasonable supporting infantry. So VonAsten here has finally managed to draw blood in a super meaningful way. If he can somehow maintain field control, there is hope for him now in the late game. I mean, it's so close, it's super tenuous, and also, I mean, if VonAsten loses any of his core infantry units, pretty much, because he's really only got 3 or 4 core pushing infantry units here, if he loses any of them in the next few minutes, and is unable to replace them, then that could be dire. Even this Kugelwagen has been a really useful resource this game, and he's going to lose it here, so that's kind of a shame. I mean, I guess you can't have perfect awareness and multitasking the whole... No! How did that Kugel survive? Wow. That is a lucky Kugelwagen. No! What the... And now the captain's going to be lost for it. I don't even know what I'm watching anymore. What? Okay, well, somehow able to turn that one around. What? Crazy. Okay, so the Panzer IV is repaired. The Sherman is repairing. It's not repairing. Vova. Oh no. He definitely thinks this is repairing, but it's not. Oh no, that's so unlucky for Vova. Vova here, just a couple of small errors creeping in. The Jackson was actually a big error, but I mean, it was a small error with big consequences. He was like, there was an exposed, well, there was a Panzer IV here presenting side armor and like looking exposed. I mean, if you had the Jackson in this position firing at the Panzer IV here, it would have been great. But you can't be doing that with these Kettenwerfers along this side of the river. So like, that was just like, I don't think that was ever going to be successful doing what he did with the Jackson. And like, when it comes to the Jackson, especially when it's like, when it's new to life, you have to play it super cautiously. Like, Jacksons are quite fragile. They can die really quickly, so... Yeah, so it looks like another Sherman going to be the choice here for Vova. Not quite sure I fully understand this. I still think Jackson the superior choice, just because your first one didn't go well. I mean, that was kind of an accident how it died. That was a mistake. I don't think that invalidates the Jackson as a choice, but maybe Vova just sort of reckons he wants a Sherman for reasons that I am not appreciating right now. So, I don't know, we're going to see. Finally notices that his Sherman wasn't repairing, so this vehicle crew going to get on that. That Sherman will be repaired here pretty quickly. So, going to turn that one around nicely.
MG-34 squad is ready for orders.
And yeah, VonAsten hanging on. 112 tickets left now, but pushing the American player back. Actually, whoa, this Panzer IV probably going to wipe out this 50 cal. Okay, 50 cal gets out of there. Pretty lucky stuff for Vova. And now the second Sherman's coming in. And oh man, this is a real close game, to be honest. Even though Vova has been so far ahead, this game could definitely go either way. It all comes down to these next engagements, basically. If VonAsten falters for even an instant, he will be destroyed because like he just doesn't have the victory points to sustain. He has to sustain like map control from now on, which is a tall order, but he has the tools to do it. Loses a Kettenwerfer, but that's okay. That can be replaced. How fast is this guy running? Wow. What the? Okay. That is some serious stim infantry right there. Jeez. Okay, Panzer going to be awkwardly reversing, going to be joining this battle arse first, which is a touch awkward here. Luckily, there are no AT resources present right now to exploit that. We've got 2 M1 AT guns now for the American player, which almost overkill, really, to be honest, given that you've only got 1 Panzer IV to be firing at. But, I mean, Axis late game armor is super scary, and you always want to have the tools to be ready for it. So I totally appreciate Vova's choice here. Does make some sense. 2 Shermans, 2 M1 anti-tank guns. Weapon racks have finished for the American player. I would love to see Shreks pop up on the major. Sorry, not Shreks. Zooks pop up on the major. We've got Zooks on the rear ash. That makes sense. There is just a spare... Oh no, sorry, these guys are not spare. To be honest, I would actually quite like to see some Zooks put on the WC-51 vehicle crew as well, so that they could hop out and take Zook shots. But, you know, we'll see. It's going to be a second Panzer IV for VonAsten. Okay. I thought for sure we were going to see some sort of, like, save for a big cat plan, but... Wow, 2 Shermans laying down the hurt here in mid. Kettenwerfer's doing their best to deal with it, but they're getting chewed up to a large extent, some of these Axis units here. Damage beginning to pile up onto these American mediums, forcing them back. The Panzer IV gets a little bit duffed up, has to fall back and repair. Engineers are finished on the mechanized regiment, so gets to repair for free back at base. LMG-34 is finished on the Obersoldaten as well, so those guys are going to be like acid death now for American infantry squads. Kubelwagen versus WC-51, the fight of ages. This is what it all comes down to. It's all about this. WC-51 ripping through that Kubel. Finally, the Kubel's reign of terror on this map is going to end. That was a good Kubel, surviving for some 27 minutes in this game. No mean feat. It's a rare game that a Kubel has that sort of longevity. All right, so... Is there no line of sight from this LMG? Wow, this wall is actually protecting these riflemen. Look at that. That's true sight, ladies and gentlemen, true sight. So these riflemen are actually going to be able to find a little nook here where they can cap this point, which is super relevant. It's all about the VPs, and that's a relevant VP to be capping. American forces also capping this one. There's going to be a triple cap established here, VonAsten, and he cannot allow this. 84 tickets and counting now. Oh, Kettenwerfer gets up onto the middle VP. That's gonna stall the progress of this cap here. Okay, American forces are forced back in the east, so you need to capture this ASAP, VonAsten, ASAP. Where are these Storm Pioneers going? I mean, I get it. Running forwards and trying to kill American units is really good, but so is staying in the game. And every victory point is going to matter, because your opponent's up at 368 and you have 76. I don't know about hemorrhaging these points, man. We need to capture these VPs. Kettenwerfer heroically holding this. Cloaked Kettenwerfer for the ultimate troll. Now we've got a Scot being mixed in. I didn't see this on the roster. Okay, we've got a Scot. Ah, now the second Sherman actually starts making a bit of sense, because now you've got 2 Shermans, you have the Scot hiding behind it. That makes a lot of sense. What is that? Is that some sort of tungsten round? Oh, that's M1AT guns using the tungsten rounds. Armor-piercing, discarding Sabot shells, going to force the Panzer IVs back. Smoke grenades coming in off of the Shermans. Whoa, a rifleman squad being hung out here, but Vova's on top of it. Going to get the fallback here. This is a really tense battlefront. Both players on high alert, microing all of their units, trying to stay aware. Any squad wipes here are going to be crucial for either side. Neither player really has the resources where they can be throwing away infantry squads willy-nilly. VonAsten cancelled the second Panzer IV, so he's saving for Tiger. And it looks like American forces, this might be the winning move. American forces are able to access mid. This MG34, the Scot needs to get over here and tell this MG34 to get the hell out of here. Okay, this 50 cal will probably have the same effect, but this MG34 has been a hero, basically helping hold this point in conjunction with the Camo Werfer for like so long. And it looks like it may actually just lose this fight. I mean, it's going to lose if he doesn't fall it back. But American forces are going to grab this one. The Scot gets up into this position here, which is nice. These shells going to be getting cast way far forwards. Oh, firing smoke. Okay, fair. I mean, that works too. And now Obersoldaten going to be making some gains here in the west. Going to get up on top of this VP. Rear Esch getting hung out to dry. Oh no. That could be a squad wipe. Obersoldaten are so good. Yep, they get the squad wipe, but now there's riflemen here, so I don't think they're going to get the cap. Heroically, the MG34 gets up here onto mid. I didn't even see how that happened, but I think the smoke managed to conceal its advance, so they got unsuppressed and were able to come forwards into mid. Panzer IV rolling forward. Tigray tank is now on the field, and that represents quite a power swing, of course. Whoa, Panzer IV coming up way close, looking for a kill on the Scot. Probably not going to get that, and now he has to deal with 2 Shermans, but is it a bait? Pulling the Shermans into the arc of 2 Kettenwerfers here. One of the Shermans gets turbo low, the Panzer IV also turbo low. Kettenwerfer's turning here, watch for a shot coming in from the side of the screen here. Okay, the Panzer IV will escape somehow. The Tiger tank overrunning in mid. But 46 tickets remaining for VonAsten. This has been a great game. So good. So well played by both players here. And so close. And it looks like both Shermans are going to exfiltrate safely. The wounded Sherman already back here at base. This Sherman is going to be able to get out. Probably might take a couple more Kettenwerfer hits, but it shouldn't be destroyed. And now, okay, the Tiger tank just holding firm on this side of the bridge. VonAsten manages to capture East VP. 40 tickets remaining, and he stops the clock. Versus 357. Oh, wow. M1 anti-tank guns getting repurchased here for the American player. Tiger tank shoving American units around here in mid, taking no prisoners. Gonna rumble forwards even. Risky. Risky. When was the last time you had a metal detector out here? Like, never. There could so be mines out here, bro. Careful. Careful. I mean, I know that there aren't mines because I'm an observer, but he doesn't. Oh, my God. And if you get tagged by mines and then picked down by stalking anti-tank guns and Shermans, that could be nasty. A lot of repairs going on right now. Panzer IV gets turned around quickly. That's coming back out to the front here. Kettenwerfers, MGs, holding the line here for VonAsten. Volksgrenadiers even probing forwards to grab points on the American half of the side of the river. Tiger tank just going to probe forwards here, spots the lieutenant. The lieutenant clusters up, but the Tiger tank shell misses. Zook bounces off the armor. No use here. The Axis Big Cat, proof against such flimsy AT weapons. But the M1 anti-tank gun is a real threat, and that's stalking up the field now. Jackson getting added into the roster, and I like this a lot. The Jackson, of course, going to weigh in considerably in these fights against the Axis armor now. And somehow VonAsten able to access the West VP as well. Gets a machine gun up on top of that. He's probably not going to be able to complete the capture. This is just too much American guns. He's probably going to lose the MG as well. Damn. But I mean, you have to try for these things. There's another MG set up with Overwatch here, so it's unlikely that the American forces will just be able to capture this VP. Looks like the Tiger has transitioned over into this area of the map, but there's actually no targets really remaining. Sherman here, Jackson's in support, M1 anti-tank gun in support. This is a nice anti-tank hardpoint here. Going to be very difficult for VonAsten to engage profitably with his Axis armor units anywhere near that point until the American player decides to move them. Tiger tank going to push across the river here, looking to get some value against the 50 cal. Looks like the Panzer IV going to be pushing here. The WC-51 finally goes down here. We've got a big fight being taken here. The Sherman coming across the river, getting donked about by a Tiger and a Kettenwerfer, though. That one's going to be forced back to repair. Tiger taking only light damage, so a favourable exchange there for VonAsten, who is holding the areas of the map that he needs to right now. This Jackson getting massive hits in. This is such a great position for the Jackson, and also the fact that the Jackson is a potent tank destroyer with a turret cannot be understated, because look, it's holding both sides here. That's something that an Su-85 or a Jagdpanzer would have much more difficulty doing. I mean, could definitely do it if you micro it right, but being on top of that micro and like knowing and predicting where your opponent is going to come out of fog of war with their tanks, that's very difficult, especially when you're doing everything else that you need to keep your army alive. Whereas the Jackson can just traverse and play whack-a-mole with these armored targets without nearly so much babysitting. You can just leave it in a position where it's good, and as long as it's in range, the turret traverse speed on the Jackson is just like pretty nifty. So it's gonna be able to take those shots, and it hits home so hard. This Tiger tank, you know, taking a hit or two there. I think it was just one, and the Panzer IV getting mauled by that Jackson there. All right, 50 cal gets up on mid. Sherman pushing in the west. American armor looks like we're gonna have Sherman pushing in the east. Looks like we're gonna have another Sherman pushing in the west. I really need to buy myself a compass. Oh, this is such a close game. MG34 going to be every single unit interaction. It all just comes down to the precise nature of how these units interact on this front line here. This is just such a close and brutal game. Volk's Grenadiers probably going to be wiped here. VonAsten actually does have enough manpower to replace them. Sherman versus Panzer IV in the east. Major barrage comes down, takes out an MG34. Looks like the Sherman feels confident enough to push here. Jackson still maintaining its overwatch position in the middle of the map. American forces are on west, but Axis forces are probably going to retake the bridge. Tiger tank reveals itself over here, so now I imagine the Jackson will reposition to take some shots. Sherman smoke comes down, which baits the Tiger into coming forwards. This is going to enable the Jackson to drop the hammer. Bonk! And that's a Tiger that has to GTFO, and promptly here. Barrage going to come down here. I believe that might be Stuka smoke? No. What is that? Oh, is that the tank commander barrage? Yeah, sorry, that's tank commander barrage coming down off of the Tiger. American forces grabbing east. Uh-oh, VonAsten. This is getting close again. And credit to Vova. I see a lot of American players, when it comes down to this super grindy late game where the Axis player is on death's door on the scoreline and the American player is just trying not to lose their whole army and also just buy a bit of possession on the victory points to end the game. I see a lot of American players just flail all their units in. The Axis player sort of breaks them because they have the Tiger and because the American player is trying to push so relentlessly just to end the game. And then the American player just has no units left, and it doesn't matter that the Axis player is down at 39 or whatever. But to credit where credit's due, Vova here demonstrating much more patience than I've seen from a lot of American players in this position. And he's just playing this game out. Yeah, he's down at 231 now, but he still has a great army. He's losing core infantry, though, which you cannot really be doing. Kettenwerf is going to find this Sherman. And the Tiger as well. Yikes. Where's the Jackson? Okay, looks like the Jackson took a trip over into the east of... Anytime the Jackson is not in this location around here, I basically don't like it for the American player, because that just enables the Axis player to exploit the other flank. Which you can't really let happen. Now, Vova does have enough manpower to replace some of these infantry squads, and he needs to do that, because this is a game that's all about... Whoa! It's all about pushing for the victory points, but that's not relevant right now. A Panzer IV coming in super deep once the Jackson recognizes that it might be overextending. Gonna GTFO there. Jackson getting a bit unlucky with that last shot, but... Oof. Another tense moment. This is just... I've been on the edge of my seat now for so long. Okay, now it's going to be a Sherman 76. And actually, VonAsten has like enough fuel where if he loses a couple of these Kettenwerfers, he could get like a Panther or a... You know what? I would actually kind of like a Stuka Zafus on this map. I feel like any time that you're going to lose the game because the American player breaks through to a victory point, kind of like this, you can just use the Stuka Zafus as a one-time lifeline to push back that advance and like not lose the game that recharges every like 100 seconds. So Stuka Zafus might not be terrible here. It also might just be a bit of a paperweight that's only used every 100 seconds, so actually that might be a really bad idea. You know, he could try and fit in a Panther, but that seems like overkill. It costs a lot of unit supply. You'd have to lose 2 of these units at least to get the Panther. Could go for another Panzer IV. I don't know. I'm kind of happy with VonAsten's composition right now, and he's floating enough fuel where he can replace a tank if he loses it. He needs to build up a bit of a manpower float, though. So anyway, American forces grab east, but that's not enough by itself. 31 tickets now remaining for VonAsten. Tiger tank content to maintain its presence here, sort of between the west and center. Scott just casting smoke shells in. Going to be blinding this MG34. Major pushes right forward, but there's a Panzer IV here. M180 guns, sorry, M180 gun and the Jackson going to fire into the Panzer IV, but missing. And now the Sherman 76 is here as well. That one's pushing right up in the in the east. Sorry, I need to buy a compass. Tiger Tank's going to commit here to try and find a Jackson, getting some good damage on that one. American forces are getting repulsed in the east, but they are pushing in the west. Big old barrage comes down here. The tank commander getting used again here for VonAsten, who's flatlining on munitions now, losing a Kettenwerfer here. The American forces, actually, if they completely overrun this flank and start hitting this position from this angle here, this could be terrible. Uh-oh. Yeah, the Sherman 76 going to be pushing here. There's no opposition. This is an exposed area. The Panzer IV is here, though, so that could help deflect this, and it's going to have to. Tiger Tank, somewhat battered, but still combat capable. American forces circling and waiting for an opportunity to grab either of these other VPs. He's going to re-grab east. Running perilously low on infantry, though, as the American player. He does have enough manpower, and he does have enough unit cap. I would just love to see him buy some riflemen, or just start spamming rear Esh or something, like rear Esh with Zooks. I suppose he doesn't have the munitions to spam the Zooks, but yeah. Buy some rear Esh. You just need units to be capping points here. The Major going to heroically come forwards and get a decap on this position. No, he's not. Oh, no. Just missing out there by a millisecond on getting the decap. Tiger Tank, though, getting forced back. The Dozer Blade Sherman being the ablative armor for the Scott and the... Where's the Jackson? Okay, and the Jackson, which is kind of being repaired. Obersoldaten are going to get up onto this point. The Panzer IV here, getting battered, actually. The Sherman 76 getting the much better end of that trade, coming out with a Star of Veterancy and most of its health against a 4-star Panzer IV. Not exactly sure what happened there, because I had the camera elsewhere, but Vova looking pretty smart now. 31 tickets here for VonAsten. What are these Oh, I suppose the Kettenwerfer's coming over here just, like, angling for American armor. They're not going to find it, though. This Major has been a combat hero, calling in barrages and mowing down Germans with his BAR. Alright, so the Sherman 76, the Jackson, and the M1. I wonder if this represents these are his 3 best AT guns, all on this flank. Not sure I like that. Tiger is now repaired, Panzer IV is basically now repaired, so they're going to be recommitted. Triple cap established here for VonAsten. 124 to 31. Victory beginning to come over the horizon now for VonAsten. It may be that he's weathered the storm, and the American player may be forced into a desperation push sooner rather than later here. Oh no, why are these American infantry units just feeding in one after the other into a prepared position? We need smoke here. We need infantry units to be pushing not one at a time, but in a concerted push. American units also grabbing a fuel point here rather than just going straight for this VP. I don't know about that.
Friendly's down to 100 points. I say again, allies at 100 points.
Well, you heard it here first. Allies are 100 points. VonAsten is making this happen now. The triple cap is real. He is whittling down Vova at quite the rate now. 88 and ticking. Probably just over a minute worth in this game at this rate. Just over a minute and a half, something like that. So Vova needs to make something happen within that time. And he has the tools. He can definitely do this. He's buying 50 cals at the moment, which, that's fine. Tiger Tank going to come forwards here, taking a lot of damage at the hands of the Jackson, the M1, and the Sherman 76, but it's going to be able to get out of there. Shrek on the Storm Pioneers being super useful. And the Tiger's just going to hold mid again. American forces going to grab west. Okay, that's crucial, because now it's Vova who, like, every victory point also matters. 64 to 31. This game in the balance. Both players with sophisticated three-dimensional armies with many units and many armored units. Very rare that we get a late game this close where both players have their armies completely... Well, I mean, just these are fully fledged intact armies. Normally somebody gets broken and is unable to recuperate by now. Okay, so he gets the Sherman 76 by stalking forwards with these units. He loses the Kettenwerfer for it, but that's fine. That's a trade you'll take. Bulldozer Sherman and American Rifleman are managing to get the loop around here. and come onto mid from an unexpected angle. Tiger Tank and the Panzer IV are here to combat this. The Tiger Tank's still perilously low, though, so can't really commit to a fight. The Jackson could easily knock it down now. There's enough money. Oh, he doesn't have the manpower. I was going to say, there's not enough money for another Tiger, but... Oh, no, these riflemen are just going to get sacrificed here. That's no good. Vova! Oh, no. Jackson going to come forward. Oh, no, I think Vova's just gone into desperation mode. Oh, no, this won't work. He's going to get the Panzer IV. That's awesome. That is huge. The Axis forces are pushing to grab this VP. This is so close! Look at this fight here. This 50 cal is saving the day. Saving the day. Smoke pots come down to deny it, but now this major, this 3-star action man major here is just like smashing Axis units. If he gets the wipe on those Volks, I mean, we're so close to the end of the game, it's probably not that impactful now, but like, damn, this major is just smashing face. Oh no! Losing the 5-star Volks there, and the Panzer IV. Kettenwerfer versus MG on this middle point here, the most awkward standoff of all time. But American forces are going to grab this point, so then it's going to be VonAsten under the clock. And does he have the units? Where are the Storm Pioneers? They're out on middle. I mean, the Tiger's just not repaired, and the Jackson is... the Jackson's repairing, so I think Vova is just about going to take this. He has more tickets. He has the 3 VPs, or at least he's going to. Oh my god, this MG34 holding so strong. What a close game. 9 tickets and counting, though. 7. VonAsten, I think that's the curtain. I don't think he can recover this. Bundaroo grenade comes down, but it ain't going to be enough. Obersoldat and Bravely feeding themselves in. And what a heroic game here. What a heroic game. That's game. What an amazing game. Oi, what a cracker. 47 minutes of perfectly balanced, intense mayhem there. And I really thought that VonAsten had actually, like, run the gauntlet and, like, you know, managed to secure himself a winnable endgame. I mean, he had secured himself a winnable endgame, but he just didn't actually win it. Wow, and Vova just demonstrating such patience and such, like, careful planning with his units. I was a bit worried there in the final minute or two of the game that he just switched to desperation mode because I just saw units feeding in. But I mean, fatigue is a real thing. If you've been sitting here for 47 minutes, the better part of 50 minutes, trying to just on high alert, microing your units and stuff, like, yeah, you do start, you know, some mistakes are going to creep in. And he started losing rifleman squads, feeding in infantry units one by one. And I was like, oh no, has he gone into desperation mode? But he really hadn't. And he takes this awesome, awesome endgame. What an amazing game. Jeez, look at this. Look at this mayhem. Oh my goodness. Every single victory point is just like utterly crater-pocked and like strewn with casualties. VonAsten fighting there from sub 100 tickets for so long, bringing Vova down to 53 in a late game that involved so much American armor. And VonAsten with a heroic Panzer IV and a mighty Tiger, standing strong. I mean, you know, this Tiger doing really well, not even destroyed at the end game, you know, parked prominently on the middle bridge, looking strong, but not enough to win this game. Wow. I don't really know what to say about this game. I think both players basically played it about as well as is humanly possible. Yeah, there were some mistakes on both sides, but that's the great thing about RTS. You know, perfect play is an impossibility. And, yeah, I mean, I think both players' commander choices were relevant and useful. I think both players' unit choices pretty much throughout the whole game. I mean, it's hard to criticize. There were a couple of moments where I think, you know, where I was saying Vova, you know, he was going for various types of Sherman, and I was saying, how about going for various types of, like, Jackson at various timings and things. But you know what? He actually basically always had a well-supported Jackson throughout most relevant phases of the game, with enough like heavy Shermans to be hiding behind. We saw the Dozer Blade Shermans actually look useful because remember they're tougher than a regular Sherman. Yeah, they're slower, but they've got more HP. So those Dozer Blade Shermans, you know, if you're using Shermans as an ablative shield to allow a Jackson and allow your M1 anti-tank guns and allow your infantry to do their thing, those Dozer Blades are pretty useful. And I reckon that that's a role in which Shermans are basically underused. Americans don't really have a very durable armor choice. So being able to convert your Shermans into a more durable armor choice is a pretty significant and quite rare for the faction ability provided by some commanders, of course, particularly this one. So, wow, just a cracking showdown there. I mean, that was awesome. Cool. Well, I mean, unfortunately, that concludes this video because I've got real life things I need to go and get on with today. But damn. Just damn. Sorry, I'm still a little bit lost for words. Well, thank you all very much for watching. And this for now, Magpie842 signing out.